Hello and welcome to my review of last night's NXT TakeOver 30 show. Overall, straight out of the gate, I'm going to say it was a really good show. Really enjoyed it, pretty much start to finish. There's no surprise in my voice there. You know, it's a takeover. They're usually pretty damn entertaining, really good shows. Pretty much universally, it's one thing NXT is really known for. You can debate on who's got the better weekly show between NXT and AEW all you like, but takeovers never disappoint and never have really since their inception. So yeah, really good show, really enjoyed it, and didn't take any notes, so I'm going to be doing this off memory. So if my memory of some of the matches is hazy, I watched it a fair few hours ago, I'm pretty tired, so hopefully I can remember everything that went down. We'll start off with the pre-show match, which was a triple threat tag team match to determine the number one contenders for the NXT Tag Team Championship, and it was Breezango versus Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch versus Legado del Fantasma. The main thing I recall from this match was, overall I enjoyed it, first of all, but the main thing I remember was, I think it was Raul Mendoza. I could be mistaken though, again, memory's pretty hazy, doing a mad corkscrew body press thing off the top rope to the outside onto, I want to say it was Fandango and Oney Lorcan, but I'm not confident on that. And I think it was those two. And Raul Mendoza basically ran, springboarded up off the middle rope onto the top rope, and then just spun through the air into like a crossbody kind of position. It was a really cool spot. Breezango picked up the win. I'm pretty sure, I should have checked this before I started, I'm pretty sure I chose Breezango to win, because I said maybe then Legado del Fantasma can cost them the title match and the feud can continue that way. I don't know, maybe they're just going to move away from that feud. One way or another though, Breezango won, I picked correctly, so pleased with that, 1 from 1. The first match on the main show was one of my first risky picks, and if you listen to my predictions yesterday, you'll know I changed my mind about this one at the end of the video. I was like, actually no, I'm going to go Timothy Thatcher. Wow, I wish I hadn't done that. With hindsight, Timothy Thatcher came out of this looking great despite losing, and that was kind of an obvious way to go. I don't know, I didn't want everything to be really cut and dry, and I'll be honest, I was feeling fairly confident in my pick. It was a portion through the match where Timothy Thatcher was really working on the leg of Balor, and I think Balor hit a coup de grace and couldn't follow up on it because he'd hurt his leg. Obviously, because that's quite impactful on your leg if you've already got an injury to your leg, just jumping and stomping down. So, and I was like, oh, okay, they might actually do this here. And then as the match wore on, I think Timothy Thatcher had his really nice, sort of painful-looking half Boston Crab locked in, and Finn Balor actually managed to reach the ropes, and I was like, okay, that was where my own confidence in my prediction started to wane, and I was like, actually, I think I may have picked wrong. Finn Balor's probably going to win this. Sure enough, he did. I actually missed the finish because I was watching on the mobile version of the network for the first few matches, and it wasn't great. It cut out a few times, just said no network, and then you just press play and it carried on. One of the times it did that was the finish, but I saw Finn Balor up top, and then I saw Finn Balor celebrating, so I can only assume it was a straight coup de grace 1, 2, 3. Finn Balor defeated Timothy Thatcher, and I am 1 from 2 on predictions. 1 right, 1 wrong. Not too bad so far, I guess. Up next, in the third match, was the ladder match for the vacant NXT North American Championship, which was Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, and Velveteen Dream. I'm just going to lead with this. I predicted correctly on this one. I picked Damian Priest in the end, I'm pretty sure, and he did, sure enough, walk away with the championship. Really fun match. I mean, it's a multi-man ladder match. It's going to be a massive spot fest, but, they're also lots of fun. They're really enjoyable. I'm trying to think what memorable spots there were. The one that a lot of people were talking about was Bronson Reed dropping the splash off the ladder with Candice LeRae on his back onto Johnny Gargano, which was a cool spot. I'm trying to think what else was really big. I think the finish was a lot of fun because Johnny Gargano basically had the title unhooked But then Damian Priest kind of had hold of the other end of the strap, so he couldn't pull it through fully. And then Priest, I think, kicked Gargano a few times, and then Gargano fell off the ladder, and Priest was just left holding the title basically, and was like, "Hey, look, I win." So it was a creative finish without making it look super fluky. It still looked like Priest deserved to win. It wasn't like the Money in the Bank finish where Otis kind of just caught the contract and was like, "Wait, what? I won?" It didn't belittle the victory at all. It was just a creative way of finishing a ladder match that I haven't seen many times before, I don't think, if at all. So, yeah, really enjoyed this match. Like I say, it was very spotty. I'm not going to go through it blow by blow. A, because I can't remember it blow by blow. I wasn't taking notes. And B, because if you want that, I don't know, watch the show. I would definitely recommend the show if you're watching this and being like, well, if it was any good, I might give it a watch. Yeah, give it a watch. Speaking of really good, let's talk about this next match. Adam Cole against Pat Mcafee, whose name I always stumble over for some reason. I sort of want to say McAfee, but it's McAfee, isn't it? I think. Anyway, so this match, I went with a bit of a swervy finish. My two risky predictions didn't come good. I should have just gone straight and narrow, predictable. And I would have got 6 from 6. Like, the two that I was umming and ahhing over and decided to go a bit wonky with, I was wrong. So I should have just stuck to basic wrestling booking 101. That was what this show was. So yeah, the surprise in this was just how good Pat McAfee was. I actually posed a question on Twitter, and I'm posing it here. Let me know in the comments. Has anyone who's a non-wrestler ever had a better match in wrestling? Like, because McAfee, he might have his own ring and a band, but he's not known for being a wrestler. He's a celebrity injected into a storyline for presumably a one-off, unless this was a debut, and he's going to continue. But has anyone ever done better when they're not a wrestler, like in a wrestling match? Because he was incredible. Not just athleticism, but he was selling well. The psychology. I mean, I know Adam Cole was obviously going to be leading the match in terms of psychology and pacing and what have you, but McAfee by far held up his end of the deal. There was the spot that everyone's going to be talking about is where Adam Cole pushed McAfee off the top rope and he did a back somersault and landed on his feet and then ran and just clean jumped up onto the top rope and then superplexed Adam Cole. Great athleticism. I feel like people who know him a bit better weren't that surprised that he's such a great athlete, but to someone like me who doesn't know him from his football days and what have you, I was just blown away by all this stuff. He started off strong. They had a bit of a square, a bit of a face-off is the word I'm looking for, between Undisputed Era and McAfee and his football friends. And then he suddenly comes off the top rope. This is outside the ring and just swantons onto everyone. And at that point I was like, okay, he's already kind of surpassed maybe what I was expecting of him by taking that kind of risk. He doesn't need to. He's obviously got a passion for wrestling to take that kind of risk. He's not lying when he's bragging about how much money he's made in different businesses. He's a very successful footballer, American footballer from what I understand. There's a lot of money in that. So, he's not doing it for the money. He's doing it for the love of it. And you could tell. Generally, I mean, the big spots are what people are going to remember. The swanton to the outside and the backflip off the top rope and then the subsequent jump up back onto the top rope. But just the match in general was really good. Adam Cole ended up finishing it with a Panama Sunrise clean, I believe. But it was a very, very good back and forth match. Way above and beyond what I think most people were expecting. Certainly above what I was expecting of McAfee. And it wasn't one of the two options that I said are the two ways they need to go, which is Adam Cole completely hand it to McAfee or the swerve, which I predicted. They actually went with a competitive match and managed to pull it off, and I didn't think that would be an option, so fair play to them. So yeah, I predicted for McAfee to win and Undisputed Era to turn on Adam Cole and cost him the match. That was, again, one of my two bold predictions for this show. It didn't pay off. That did not happen. I was kind of surprised. I felt like there's been... Maybe they're taking it a bit slower. Maybe that is going to come, but maybe it's coming a bit slower. I feel like there's been hints of dissension and hints of reasons why Undisputed Era wouldn't be pleased with Cole as leader. So that was why I kind of went with that. I thought it'd be a big surprise. I saw the theory online and, someone just said, what if? And I thought, I sort of took that and ran with it and was like, actually, I could actually see that happening if they really want to have a big surprise on the show that gets people talking and gets people interested for TV, then that could have been a way to go, absolutely. But they chose not to. Adam Cole picked up the win. At this point, I was 2 from 4, correct, so 50-50. And wasn't mad about either of the ones. I was, sometimes when I get a prediction wrong, in the review I'll sort of like, I just don't understand why they've done the opposite. That doesn't make any sense. Both of the ones I got wrong, absolutely fine, make perfect sense. I was just trying something with the prediction, trying to be able to be the guy that's like, I called that, but it didn't pay off. It's fine. So up next was the Women's Championship match. Io Shirai defending against Dakota Kai, who had Raquel Gonzalez at ringside. This match, I saw someone else say this, and I sort of agree, was a little underwhelming. It didn't keep my focus, didn't keep my attention brilliantly, this match. It was, these are two really good women's wrestlers and really good wrestlers, full stop. And I don't know, just something about the match didn't capture me. I don't remember a great deal about the match. And I'm surprised by that because I thought this was going to be pretty good going in. I'm not the world's biggest Dakota Kai fan. I am a really big Io Shirai fan, and I can at least admit that Dakota Kai can more than handle herself in the ring. So I'm kind of surprised that I didn't think that much of this match. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you thought, but I didn't think this was all that in a bag of chips, if I'm being honest. And the most interesting thing about this match, Io Shirai retained the championship. The most interesting thing for me was straight after the finish, Raquel Gonzalez attacked Io Shirai, and then Rhea Ripley came down to make the save and squared up to Gonzalez, and everyone was like, ooh, big person match, like big, two big hosses going at it kind of thing. Everyone loves that kind of thing. My question was, did I miss Rhea Ripley finishing off her thing with Mercedes Martinez? Either I missed that or they've just started a second feud while she's not even finished her first feud, which is an interesting decision to make. In the land of kayfabe, you're already dealing with the Robert Stone brand. You're already outnumbered 3-1, and Mercedes Martinez is dangerous on her own. And then you're like, I think we'll chuck Raquel Gonzalez in there. Why not? Let's start the deck more. Oh, and she's friends with Dakota Kai, so she'll come with it. So yeah, 5-on-1 sounds a bit better. Like, I'm just not sure why you'd make that choice, but she did. She came in, squared up. But then after she'd left the ring, after clearing the ring of Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, I say clearing the ring, Dakota just talked Raquel out of it and they left the ring. But then as Rhea Ripley's backing up the ramp, Io Shirai is celebrating her victory again, now that she's been saved and she's free to celebrate. And the camera shot is just Rhea Ripley over her shoulder, just sort of staring at her like, yeah, I still want that though, the title. So I'm not sure where they're going with this. Maybe a multi-woman match or maybe just a sequential feud where maybe Ripley beats Martinez and then I'm pretty sure she's going to beat Gonzalez and then gets another shot at Shirai, or I don't know. They're going to do something along those lines. Or maybe she beats Gonzalez first and then Martinez might beat Ripley and then go on to challenge Shirai. They might do something along those lines. But yeah, it was a good the post-match segment caught my attention a lot more than the match, as you can tell by the amount I've spoken about it. It's it was just underwhelming. It wasn't a bad match at all. I'm not trying to say that. I just think it was a bit underwhelming. Not underwhelming was the main event. Karrion Kross challenging Keith Lee for the NXT Championship in the main event. Boy, I love this Karrion Kross guy. Like, I'd heard a lot of hype about him, but I'd never really seen anything of Killer Kross before he came to NXT. So I was looking forward to seeing what he was made of, but I didn't know anything personally. And I love this guy. He's great. He looks terrifying. Like, he looks like an absolute beast. He looks like a star. The presentation with him and Scarlett is just fantastic. Everything about this package is just amazing. He's good in the ring as well. I've enjoyed his matches. He's convincing. He's realistic. He's also pretty clean. He's pretty smooth in the ring. Now, this match was quite rough around the edges at first, but that was because they were doing that on purpose to make it, to play on how personal it was supposed to be, how angry Keith Lee is at Karrion Kross. So they were quite scrappy at first. You had a cool spot where Keith Lee punched the screens that are separating the audience from the ringside area, and it kind of fell in, and Karrion Kross moved out the way of the punch, and Keith Lee just demolished that screen, and then Kross just kind of smirked, nice one, kind of, yeah, good try, kind of thing, that would have hurt, which I appreciated, a tiny sign of humour on him, but, back to our business. Rumour has it that Karrion Kross might have separated his shoulder in this match, which I didn't spot, and I actually rewatched this match because I was a little distracted during the main event, the first time through. I saw most of it, but I was like, I really want to rewatch this and make sure I didn't miss anything crucial. I didn't spot a moment where that happened. The only one I can think of might have been that powerbomb out of the triangle choke. It kind of landed funny, but I was looking more at his leg on that landing than his shoulder. But anyway, apparently he may have separated his shoulder. I couldn't tell. People were saying that might have been why the end was a little bit underwhelming. I feel like that was always the planned finish. I don't think they rushed to the finish. Keith Lee kicked out of his, I forgot what he calls it, but the suplex that he uses, the belly to back suplex variant, Doomsday, does he call it? Something like that. He kicked out of that. He got out of the cross jacket or whatever he calls it. The rear naked choke. He got out of his main moves. He kicked out and he got out of this submission. So to do an avalanche version of your finisher makes sense as a finale. So I don't feel like that was a rushed finish. It was just about the longest match on the card. This and the ladder match were 30 seconds difference because I've got the times up here roughly. But yeah, it didn't feel rushed to me. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Both Scarlett and Karrion Kross have tweeted since in character, about the victory. So there's not been a mention, but I assumed they would get a proper diagnosis and a prognosis for that matter. Is he going to need surgery? How long would he be out in that case before they address anything like that officially? So for the time being, he's the champ and fine. He seemed to be celebrating okay, selling the match, but didn't seem to be in too much pain, lifting the title and stuff. I don't know. It's just a rumour. Until it's confirmed, it's just a rumour. But I really enjoyed this match. One thing I did say, I predicted this, by the way. I predicted Io Shirai to retain. I don't think I mentioned that. And I predicted Karrion Kross to win the title here. So I got those last two matches right, putting me on 4 from 6. The one thing I did say was it's kind of a shame that Keith Lee had such a short NXT title reign. But once they'd booked themselves into this corner, which was the mistake in my opinion, the correct way out of this corner was to put the title on Kross. I do think this booking was correct. I just wouldn't have done this match yet. I'd have kept them separate. I'd have kept Kross busy with some other big names away from the title picture. He's gone in there with Ciampa. There's let me just have a look who's on this card. There's Finn Balor. He could have a good program with Finn Balor. He could go after Damian Priest, someone like that. If Adam Cole's now going to stay face, Adam Cole would be a great target for him. There's people there for him to have a program with and keep him away from the title just a little bit. And I know short title reigns aren't always a bad thing, but I just feel like, I don't know, I would like to see Keith Lee hold the title for a bit longer. But that's the only downside I would say to that result. Overall, correct decision made, and I'm really hoping that he's not injured, or if he is, it's not serious enough that he has to vacate the title. Because I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with him as champion, and I assume he's going to have quite a dominant reign. Speaking of the names I threw out before, I could see Finn Balor or Adam Cole coming after the title potentially. I don't see why not for either of those. Maybe it's a bit of a stretch to jump him up to this level, but just as a first challenger to feed, even a Bronson Reed could step up to that plate and just get fed to Karrion Kross. And still probably come out of that looking pretty good if he puts up a good fight. Speaking of Karrion Kross and having beaten Ciampa, they did run a video package that Ciampa's returning this Wednesday, which I was pretty pleased about. I'd heard rumblings that Ciampa was going to be involved in the Retribution storyline on Raw and SmackDown and was done in NXT. So I'm kind of glad that's not the case. I like Ciampa being in NXT. I just don't feel like he'd get used as well at all in in quote-unquote main roster. So yeah, that's pretty much the entire show. Just run over the results one more time. Breezango beat Oni Larkin and Danny Burch and Legado del Fantasma to earn an NXT tag title match. I don't know if that's scheduled for this week, or I don't think they specified. Finn Balor defeated Timothy Thatcher. Damian Priest won the ladder match for the vacant NXT North American Championship. Adam Cole beat Pat McAfee. Io Shirai retained the Women's Championship against Dakota Kai. And Karrion Kross defeated Keith Lee for the NXT Championship. I would say, in terms of my favourite match or matches, I mean, it was all strong. The Finn Balor-Timothy Thatcher match is going to get really underrated just because of what followed it, how spectacular the rest of the show was. But that was a really good match. The ladder match was a good ladder match, like a really fun ladder match. No complaints there at all. The Pat McAfee was just a revelation, and, you know, like, way above and beyond how good probably anyone was expecting that match to be. People can say, you know, why are you surprised? You know, he's a great athlete, but a great athlete doesn't translate to a great wrestler. You know, really good match, though. And the main event, the only disappointing match was the women's match. I still wouldn't say it was a bad match, it was just not as good as I expected. But, the main event was just amazing as well. So, really good show. Thoroughly recommend it. If you haven't watched it, go give it a watch, and let me know in the comments what you thought of the show, and whether the booking was right or wrong, and what your favourite match was, what you think the best match was, all that stuff. What you agree with from what I said, what you disagree with. How did you do on predictions? And be honest. You know, like, you know, there's no point in being like, yeah, I got all 6 right. You know, because who's that impressing, you know, unless you genuinely did, in which case, fair play, well done. But, let me know how you did with that, or how much of it was a surprise to you if you didn't formally predict beforehand. Don't forget to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new here, and share with your friends if you think they would enjoy. And check the description for my other channels, my social media, and my Patreon, where you can support me for just $1 per calendar month, and that would be greatly appreciated. But for now, all I have left to say is thank you very much for watching. As always, I've been Ebeza, you've been amazing, and I will see you next time.